Bill Maher has taken a number of increasingly questionable stances on his show, and this week he took another one, having a guest on, Dr. Jay Gordon, who's a part of the anti-vax movement. In the past, he's called measles a benign childhood illness. And so he had him on, and he defended him, saying, you know, to call you this crazy person, really, what you're just saying is slower vaccinations, maybe less numbers, and also take into account individuals. People are different, family history, stuff like that. I don't think this is crazy. The autism issue, they certainly have studied it a million times, and yet there's all these parents who say, I had a normal child, got the vaccine. This story keeps coming up. It seems to be more realistic to me, if we're just going to be realistic about it, like it probably happens so rarely, but you can't say it happens 1 in a million times, because then somebody could think, well, I could be this millionth one. So you scare people, so you can't say what might be the more realistic opinion. And he's not really explicit there, but what he appears to think is the more realistic opinion is to continue to believe, despite the lack of any scientific evidence for a link between vaccines and autism, against all of the positive benefits of vaccinations, that he is going to use his platform with millions of viewers and his social media reach and all that to continue to call into question the idea that you should vaccinate your children. And he can sort of try to nuance it a little bit. It's about slower and take into account individuals. But the people who are against vaccinations are not gonna be like, you know what, good point, I'm gonna go a little bit slower. They just don't vaccinate their children, and that can be deadly for their children and for other children as well. So look, I bring you on to talk about this, Brooke, because you're a big fan of Bill Maher.
Torture me.
No, because I know that you love Bill Maher.
Okay.
And so he has done a lot of really questionable stuff, as I said in the intro.
Awful stuff.
Awful stuff, yes.
Questionable is
I was being
unfair.
jokey.
Okay.
But having on for a long interview too, it was a big chunk of the show, this anti-vax doctor, who the doctor said a couple of things to be like, you know, I admit there's no scientific evidence for what I'm saying here, which that's not a thing you should put in as a side note. That should be a core concern for your identity, which is an anti-vaxxer. But that's what he used his show for. That's what HBO is promoting.
Listen, Bill Maher sat up there and called himself a house N-word. Like, so
except he didn't say that specifically. He said the full thing.
Is this finally too far?
No, not too far.
My thing
but
is
we
just
have to
kind of like, this is what you expect from Bill Maher. Eventually, a person who hits this group of people is gonna hit this group, and then this group, and then this group, and then this group, but everyone's gonna keep supporting him and gonna keep going on his show. HBO, like these, like big corporations, big companies, big networks, they don't do anything because the executives feel personally like, oh, you know what, that's too far. No, they react to the public. Megyn Kelly would still have a job if people on Twitter hadn't said, okay, it's too far. Because what she said on Fox News essentially every single day matched what she said that day.
Yeah, and with Bill Maher, he can say whatever he wants in the show, I don't really care. But I think that people should understand what sort of liberal he is. That it's a particular sort, and like him trying to for whatever reason, and I'll get into the reasons, him trying to reach out and hug this this extremist, weird Santa Monica parent sort of thing where they don't think they should vaccinate their kids. That's weird boomer liberalism. That's all it is.
It's not liberalism at all. Like Bill Maher's behavior has nothing to do with his politics. The people who are anti-vax, some of them are right wing, but it's more common for people who are otherwise liberal, but they go crazy on this issue. I think Bill Maher's things that come out of his mouth, they don't have anything to do with his politics. He's just not that nice of a person.
Yeah. Well, look, he has an
explanation
explanation
about that.
He has an explanation for why he feels like he needs to talk about this here. So he says it's courageous to speak at all about the topic of vaccines. He says of the idea that there's one true opinion, we don't play that game here. He called physicians the people in the white coats. So this idea is that, and I was talking about this before the show, back in the 90s, he had politically incorrect or whatever. The idea was that he was gonna say the stuff that other people thought but didn't say. Here's the thing, people are saying this. They're crazy people online. They say that vaccines cause autism or other things. It's not courageous or bold to say that. It's courageous or bold to live your life with no concern for what science says, I guess.
Not only are people saying that, they're acting on it, and we're seeing breakouts of massive diseases that we haven't seen in decades.
Yeah.
And he's cool with that because it's courageous. Whatever.
It's not courageous. Like the idea that there are certain types of people, and especially comedians, that as they age, they hit this point where they just think that anything they're criticized on is the same way that they were criticized when they were 20. for like talking about drugs or something. That now anyone who criticizes them makes them more right. But no, sometimes it's that society has passed you by and they're trying to correct you to try to catch you up to society, but you're pushing against them and moving more, like his second guest was Dennis Prager, who we had Parker Malloy on to talk about PragerU, who they make misinformation videos on YouTube, right-wing misinformation, weird, misogynistic
podcasts.
Exactly. Dennis Prager, that same week he was on Bill Maher, said, good grammar is white grammar, so you cannot insist that students speak properly or write properly because you'll be called a racist. That's who Bill Maher had on one of his panels. Like
what this is sometimes really rich people who have almost every privilege out there. You just start scraping for more, and you start to think that you want. This is not him like not understanding like the criticism. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. He wants to be able to do and say things that people are saying he can't.
Yeah,
that he shouldn't.
It's a knee-jerk reaction.
Wants to be able to do everything. He likes the power and the freedom that he has to do and say whatever he wants.
Yeah, and some things aren't worth doing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's not worth doing a 15-minute interview with an anti-vaxxer. It's not worth taking one of your, you have so few spots on those panels, so few that you can never manage to get a progressive on there, and yet you have room for Dennis Prager. Or that you feel like you need to bring on Milo, like at the height of his awfulness, to have a dialogue with you. That was a stupid approach. No, when he was pushed into the shadows, now he doesn't matter anymore. That was how you beat this thing, not using your reach to millions of people to try to normalize a white supremacist.
Right, and when people behave like this, you've got to pull in Elizabeth Warren and let them be exactly who they are. And people who don't agree with that and who aren't of that need to stop going on Bill Maher and they need to stop going on Joe Rogan. Like it is just time to just take a stand. And even though it's really cool and the audience is still there and it's cool to be on HBO and it's an iconic show and has a lot of history. And I'll push back against what he says. You just cannot be cool with that platform. People just
I think that is 100% right. And someday I'm gonna say it to him on his show. I'm gonna deliver it to him on his show.
Bill Maher segment, we end with him making sure that later on in life, he wasn't a hypocrite. Okay?
No,
John has
I'm letting
said
you know
he's
I am a hypocrite.
To go on the show. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. Now he's never gonna have you on anyway. He doesn't have progressives.
If he knows what's good for him.
He needs room for Ben Shapiro and Tommy Lauren to fit on the panel, okay? Thank you for watching this clip from The Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.